the NFL releases a top 100 list. And in that top 100 list, the main goal of that top 100 list is to draw conversation, is to draw attention to the NFL. There's a reason why they drop it before the season starts. Because they want the buzz, they want the conversation to start percolating around the NFL before the season. It's all a marketing ploy. And it's a smart marketing ploy. Don't get me wrong, it's not a marketing ploy as far as how good these players are, but it's all a marketing ploy, and it's all technically opinion on who one person thinks is better than the other or where you rank in the top 100. While the NFL top 100 and the NBA MVP are much different. Let's get that out the way now. It is very different. But there are some similarities that have to be talked about. And one of the similarities is inconsistency. And for the longest, the question was, how are they determining the MVP? Because it seemed like yearly, the ramifications of how you win that award changes. Sometimes it's the best player on the best team. Sometimes it's the best player with the best stats. Sometimes it's the best player with the best storyline. It seems like every single year it is always different when we talk about who deserves or who ultimately is going to win the NBA MVP. And the reason why I started this episode with the top 100 list is because the NBA understands this. Look, I am not naive in thinking that a league that's worth billions of dollars doesn't understand that in this area, the awards area, a little bit of uniformity would and should go a long way. I'm not saying that the criteria has to necessarily be extremely rigid, but I do think that there has to be at least some type of criteria. Now, I understand that you can say, well, you have to play X amount of games, which I get. But that shouldn't ultimately be the only criteria in determining who wins the MVP. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander won this year's MVP. Do I think that is deserving? Very much so. But I also have to, and I talked about this in the middle of the regular season, and I'm talking about it again now. Moments like this would benefit the league tremendously if they had a criteria. Because the conversation now around the MVP isn't, wow, Shai was extremely deserving or Shai was a clear-cut MVP. The conversation around it is, how did Shai Gilgeous-Alexander get the MVP and not Nikola Jokic? Because Nikola Jokic averaged a triple-double this year, which we have seen a player in Russell Westbrook average a triple-double, and because he averaged that triple-double, he won an MVP. So it's like you gave it to Russell Westbrook when he averaged a triple-double. Why not give it to Nikola Jokic? That's one argument. They gave it to Shai Gilgeous-Alexander when, if you look at Nikola Jokic's numbers, his on-the-court and off-the-court numbers, the Denver Nuggets team is drastically different. They're one of the worst teams in the NBA when Nikola Jokic is not on the floor. They are one of the best teams in the NBA when he is on the floor. If that doesn't spell valuable, I don't know. There is a difference between best and most valuable. That's one thing that is kind of uniform when we talk about the MVP. And it's been going on pretty much since the inception of the award. Because if the MVP just went to the best player, Michael Jordan would have way more than he has. LeBron James would have way more than he has. But the league has determined that there is a difference between best and most valuable. And I'm fine with that. But even in that, there have been years where there have been players. You know what? Bump that. Let's talk about this year. I think Shai Gilgeous-Alexander had a phenomenal year, and I'm not upset that he won the MVP. He led the league in scoring at pretty much 33 points a game. He was incredible. He's leading a Thunder team to one of the best records in the league, number 1 in the West. He's cold. Like there's no ifs, fans, or buts about it. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is tough. And I stood on the table saying that he should have won last year when Nikola Jokic won. I think last year, when you take a team that's the youngest team in the NBA, you take them to the number 1 seed in the West again last year, and he had the numbers that he was having, which you can argue he had a better season last year than he had this year. I felt he was the most valuable. Again, it goes back to difference between valuable and best, because there was no question that last year Nikola Jokic was the best player. But I don't know if his value to the team last year was the same as Shai Gilgeous-Alexander's value to his team this year or last year. This year, you can kind of flip it. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is the most important piece to this Oklahoma City Thunder team that is still playing and still trying to get to an NBA Finals. And they look like they have a damn good way. We'll talk about it in a second. But if you look at all the metrics with Nikola Jokic on the court, metrics with Nikola Jokic off the court, metrics with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander on the court, metrics with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander off the court, there is no question that Nikola Jokic has had the better season. Now again, I'm not here trying to poo-poo on SGA's award. I think that he had an incredible season. I think that it was well-deserved. But it goes back to the NFL 100 list. The league, the NBA knows that this is an inconsistent award. The NBA knows that this type of conversation is going to be had when we talk about the MVP every year. That's how you can get a year where Joel Embiid wins an MVP, even though it is clear that Nikola Jokic should win it. Or where you can say, well, Russell Westbrook deserved it, even though James Harden, you can say, was the most valuable to his team. Or you can say Steph Curry should have won it, or Steph Curry wins it in 2015, but if you're talking about most valuable, why not give it to James Harden or LeBron James? The league understands that because there is no quote-unquote rules to this, outside of just being a good player, that the conversation is going to be had. And this draws attention to the league. It draws attention to the award. It draws attention to the playoffs. That's why they wait until you realize there was a stat or there was a graphic going around. The MVP has been awarded different times every single year. And this is the latest that it's been awarded because the league knew, oh, it's Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and he's in the Western Conference Finals right now. I feel like I have to sing a little bit of praise to Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. And I'm going to talk about this a little bit. In fact, I'm going to wait on it because my praise for Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is going to spill into my view of this Oklahoma City Thunder team. The last thing I'll say is this before we move on. I think that it was extremely deserving of Shai Gilgeous-Alexander to win, and congratulations for Shai for winning, or to Shai, I'm sorry, for winning this year's MVP. But I also understand, and I'm going to acknowledge that there are questions as to how, when you look at the metrics, when you look at the numbers, when you just look at the season, how someone like Nikola Jokic didn't get it. And I will also say this. I know I said the last thing, but I'll also say this. Voter fatigue is a real thing. I don't think that should be the case, but voter fatigue is a real thing. And the fact of, I think that the league doesn't want someone, even if they are deserving, the league doesn't want someone to just harbor these awards. Which goes back to the point of, if you gave it to the best player and you gave it to the MVP, Michael Jordan would have way more than, I think he has 4. He have way more than just 4. I know for damn sure LeBron James has 4. There has not been just 4 seasons where LeBron James was the most valuable player. Especially when we argue if he's the greatest player of all time. There's been more than just 4 seasons where you can, oh yeah, that's LeBron. No. I don't think the league wants to harbor, or wants one person to harbor this award so many times, which is why you don't see too many people have more than 4, more than 5, I don't think it's right because, again, if you're the best player, that usually means you're the most important. That's not always the case, obviously, but that's usually what it means. Because in that case, if we talk about valuable, you don't see what Giannis and the Bucks is doing. Like if Giannis wasn't on that team. In fact, I think we're about to see what that team looks like without Giannis. Or we see the numbers with Nikola Jokic on the floor compared to with him off the floor. And I will give credit. Shai Gilgeous has been incredible, and he's leading a team that is incredible. He's the leader of that team. But I do think voter fatigue is a real thing. I just don't think it should be something that can alter somebody's legacy, alter somebody's career. I understand that if you have an MVP, you have an MVP. You're always going to be looked at differently. But there's a difference when maybe somebody else deserves it over you multiple times. And I'm not saying that this is the case for Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. What I'm saying is we've been praising Nikola Jokic for being the best player in the world for years now. And rightfully so. He does have 3 MVPs, but he could have 5. He could have 6. I just don't think the league wants that, which is unfortunate. LeBron James should have way more than 4 MVPs. He just doesn't. You can even argue Steph Curry should have more than 2. Again, I want to say congratulations to Shai Gilgeous-Alexander for winning this year's MVP. I know I just spent 12, 14 minutes talking about how you can question it, but I do think that he had an incredible career or incredible season. Oh man, you stayed to the end of the video. I appreciate you. If you like what you saw, be sure to hit that subscribe button so you'll never miss any content from your boy. You can also go back and watch past episodes, past clips, and don't forget that the Unpopular Podcast, new episodes drop every Wednesday and Saturday. Appreciate you.